Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelvy, and this is going to be the final video in my Gen Con guide series, where we'll cover some of the miscellaneous topics that didn't make sense to include in the other videos. This doesn't mean that I'm done making videos, but it will be the last part of this series, so anything else is going to be disparate and random. Unfortunately, that's the chaotic nature of my existence. In my last 3 videos, I covered a lot of the pre-registration Gen Con essentials, things like booking your hotel room or registering for events. However, I realized that I didn't cover a lot of the practical, on-the-ground advice. So I'm going to cover a little bit more of that stuff in this video. Let's start with events. We talked about how to register for events, but what exactly are they? Just about anything you want to do at Gen Con that isn't wandering the exhibit hall or participating in open gaming is going to require an event ticket. That's going to be an event. Whether that be signing up to play a tabletop role-playing game, seeing a panel featuring some of your favorite content creators, watching an actual play, or playtesting a new game. They're all events, and you're going to need a ticket for them. There are some folks that go to Gen Con and don't plan any events at all, and then there are some who pack their schedule full of them. It kind of depends on what you want your Gen Con experience to be like. There's no single correct way to do Gen Con. If it's your first time attending, I wouldn't recommend packing your schedule full of events this time around, but I would recommend that you sign up for at least one. This will allow you to get a feel for the process and will help you decide how you want to approach it next year. My first time attending, which was in 2023, I don't think I signed up for any play events. Every event that I signed up for was a live show, and most of them were from the Glass Cannon network. I think I also signed up for a few panels, but I'm pretty sure I ended up returning those tickets. Last year, I decided to sign up for a lot more game events. In total, I think I signed up for 6 events, 2 on Thursday, 1 on Friday, and then 3 on Saturday. I think I had a lot more fun last year, 2024, and I think that had a lot to do with the game events. I do plan on signing up for even more events this year, and that's going to be helped by the fact that I'm also going to be attending on Sunday. If you're coming to Gen Con with a group, it would make sense that you want to sign up for the same events as that group, and that's all well and good. It can be difficult to get those tickets for your group due to how the event registration system works, but it's not impossible. However, if you're going to Gen Con solo, I can understand why you might be apprehensive to sign up for a bunch of games. I'm a pretty introverted person, and the thought of signing up for games with random people frightened me. But after playing some events last year with randoms, I am not scared about that anymore at all. Everyone that I played games with last year was incredibly kind and did not make me feel uncomfortable in the slightest. Obviously, you know yourself better than I do, so take my advice with a grain of salt. Events at Gen Con take place in the Indiana Convention Center, the attached Lucas Oil Stadium, and the convention spaces of many of the downtown hotels. If you're booking events and an event happens to be back-to-back with another event, make sure that you have enough time to actually get to where you're going. The event listing will tell you where the event is taking place, and you can use the Gen Con map to kind of figure out how long that trek is going to take. I don't really recommend booking back-to-back events. It just makes things a little bit more complicated. If you're going to register for events, I recommend a 30-minute time gap in between to make sure that you can wrap up whatever you're doing, walk to your next event space, and get started. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about what you should bring to Gen Con. One of the first mistakes I made my first year attending was bringing a bunch of the games from my collection. It very quickly dawned on me that this was a big waste of time and space, at least for me. I mean, I'm at Gen Con so that I can play new games or games that I wouldn't normally be able to play. I can play the games that I own anytime I want. This year, I'll be packing one suitcase that my wife and I will share, and I'll be taking my empty board game bag. Hopefully, it will be large enough to store the spoils of my Gen Con. I recommend taking a high-quality, lightweight backpack. It doesn't have to be something very expensive, but I do recommend something with the chest and the waist straps. You're going to be walking a lot at Gen Con, and a heavy backpack is going to make your shoulders hurt very, very quickly. Though, to be fair, I'm almost 30 and my body is falling apart, so that might just be a me thing. In the same vein, I would recommend bringing a comfortable pair of tennis shoes. Gen Con is definitely not the time to be breaking in a new pair of shoes. Just grab a pair that you're going to be comfortable wearing for long periods of time. I think last year I took no less than 30,000 steps each day that I was there, so prepare for a lot of walking. A nice reusable water bottle is another thing that I would highly recommend. Gen Con is in the middle of summer, and last year the highs didn't leave the 90s, so staying hydrated is going to be very important. The ICC does have several water fountains where you can fill up your bottle for free. Eating is also important for gaming and also just to stay alive. I'm a big snacker, so I keep a bunch of snacks in my bag at any given time. I try to stay away from snacks that have nuts in them because you never know who's allergic to what, and the last thing that I'd want to do is set off someone else's allergies. I like to keep snap bags of chips or cookies or crackers, things like that, something quick and easy. When I've gone out in the past, typically we'll sit down and have a nice breakfast, we'll snack all day, and then we'll go out for dinner later. Or we'll grab pizza or take out and eat that back at the hotel room, whichever we're feeling that night. Conventions are notorious for having bad cell phone reception, and that can really drain your cell phone's battery very quickly. So I recommend keeping a portable battery charger on you as well. I like to keep some personal hygiene items with me. I like to keep a stick of deodorant and those little plastic dental floss thingies. You know, you kind of have to feel that out for yourself, whatever you want to do. If you're on medications, obviously you want to bring those as well. One of the most commonly forgotten things on any trip. Just anything you think you're going to need to get through the day. As far as gaming goes, I like to keep things pretty simple. A couple sets of polyhedral dice, some pens and pencils, a notebook for taking notes, things like that. You'll find that in most cases with these events, the GMs will have any supplies that you might need for the game, so don't be too afraid of missing out on anything like that. And if not the GMs, then the other players at your table are gonna have some stuff to share with you, I'm sure. Lastly, I'd like to touch on some of the volunteer opportunities at Gen Con. There are going to be tons of companies, publishers, what have you, that are going to need help running their events or staffing their booths. If you're so inclined, volunteering for these publishers or these companies can result in you getting a free 4-day badge, and some will even pay you out of pocket, whether that be like credit at their booth or cash. Each company is going to have their own different policies on how many hours you need to volunteer or work to get a free badge or to get paid, so you're going to have to figure that part out on your own. But it is a viable option if you're looking to attend but might not be able to afford a full 4-day badge. A few good places to look for these volunteer opportunities is going to be the Gen Con Discord, the Fans of Gen Con Facebook page, and the Gen Con subreddit. I hope you guys have gotten a lot of useful information out of these videos because I've had a fun time making them. I've put a lot of time into researching and writing them, so I hope that they have been helpful to you in the slightest, and hopefully I will see you at Gen Con 2025. Until next time, happy gaming.